3 years in a row. Cavaretta's Deli in Canoga Park, the same owner, 28 years. Go to cavarettasdeli.com. Ladies and gentlemen, back on the PM Show Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio with Nancy and Larry Mannetti. It's a hot summer day in Dallas. The filming of RoboCop. And somewhere in a hotel room, we hear our guest, Miguel Ferrer, say...
Well, finish it.
Come on, finish it.
Miguel, I have a frustrated actor here.
I gave you a straight line.
You know, when you do improv, you got to finish
from
it.
RoboCop. It was I cursed quite a bit in that movie. No, but anyway, to just finish with that, you know, it really and truly was the best experience, and the movie came out better than any of us thought it ever would.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun.
And that movie absolutely changed my life forever.
How so? In what way?
Just people all of a sudden knew who I was and thought I had, you know, a little something worth, you know, worth something.
They have good taste.
The first performance was Magnum P.I., is that right?
That was my,
The swan
And
song.
then the one that changed everybody's way of looking at you was RoboCop.
Absolutely. All of a sudden, everything was different. The world was a very different place from the day that opened to the day before it opened.
And what about the music? You said you started out in a band. What was the band?
Well, I played with a lot of bands. My father wanted me to be a pianist, as he was, and I wanted to play the drums, and he was very heartbroken.
Really?
By my decision. But he said, look, you can play drums, but you have to study, and you have to learn to read music, and you have to take lessons, and you have to learn proper technique, and if you don't, I'm going to take them away. Wow. So I started studying from the age of 8.
Wow.
And so by the time I was 15, 16 years old, I was extremely employable. So I went on the road with a lot of big bands and shows and singers and did some rock and roll recording, but I wasn't one of those guys who, you know, thankfully I wasn't one of those guys who just had a career in my mom's garage. I actually went out and saw the world at a very young age, and it was a great learning experience.
We got some recordings we can hear you on that are out there?
Yeah, I played on a lot of records, none that were very memorable. But to tell you the truth, I was one of 2 other drummers who at the age of 19 was asked by Keith Moon, the legendary guy from The Who, to play on his solo album.
Really? That's great.
So I played drums on Keith Moon's solo album when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
And that's sort of my big claim to drumming fame.
And weren't you in a band, someone told me, with Billy Mooney, who was William Robinson on Lost in Space?
Oh, yeah, that was many, 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 many years later after I was, you know, making a decent living as an actor, and that was a fun thing, and we don't do that anymore. I'm too old, and I don't want to stay up that late.
So you don't play drums anymore for relaxation or anything?
Are you kidding? It's the least relaxing thing I can think of.
Miguel, do you happen to know Greg Field?
Do I what?
Do you know Greg Field?
I don't believe so.
Oh, because he was a drummer also.
Played for Sinatra's band.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he must have been very good.
Well, I can imagine that you were up there with Krupa and Buddy Rich.
You know, Buddy Rich was a buddy of mine, and you hear all these horror stories about Buddy Rich, and I have to say he was incredibly kind to me. You know, he was so generous and so encouraging and so kind to me. I don't have a bad thing to say about him or his family. He was a lovely guy.
And what a brilliant player.
The best.
Wow.
There was him, and then there is nobody, and then there's everybody else.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a caller on that'd like to ask you a question, if that's okay, Miguel.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So let's go to the phones. We got from Iowa, we got Bill on the line here. Bill, you're on with Miguel Ferrer.
Hi, Mike, Larry, Nancy. Great show again.
Thank you.
Mr. Farrar,
Please,
I went to
Miguel.
talk to Catherine Crosby, and she said that her husband banged one of his favorite person to sing with was your mother. When you were growing up, did you socialize with the Crosbys, or who did your family socialize with? Who did you know?
I'm so sorry. Can you just repeat?
Yeah,
that
he
last
said
question?
that Catherine Crosby said that Bing Crosby used to love singing with your mom. And
yeah.
Did you socialize with those families? Who did you socialize with growing up?
Oh yeah, we hung out with the Crosbys a lot. They're the second family. Harry and Nathaniel and Mary Frances. We saw a lot of those kids. Harry, I still see anytime I go to New York, and we were really close growing up. Bing and my mom were great friends. And again, it was like when I was a kid, I couldn't believe, there were these people in and out of the house, and then later on in life, I found out, oh my God, that was Billie Holiday. Oh my God, that was Nat King Cole.
Well, that was
oh
your
my God, that was
They were in your house?
Well, yeah.
The list goes on and on and
God.
on, But when I was a kid, they were just my parents' friends, and I just wanted to be as far away from them as possible. They were old people.
Miguel, you should write a book.
People have told me that, and I just don't think it's going to happen.
It's so wonderful. My God. I mean, you don't have to get into personal stuff, but I think it'd be worth sharing with the world. I mean, what a great upbringing.
Well, again, there were no airs or any nonsense surrounding my parents at all. They just consider themselves as being fortunate and having wonderful jobs. Didn't think they were any more special than anyone else. Always had time for people who they met on the street or in a restaurant.
What wonderful people! What
down
a
to
great,
earth.
No wonder you're such a terrific person.
No, they were extremely down to earth, and again gave me a terrific example.
Wow.
And it's so funny. And Larry, you've seen a lot of it. I know when you see people with kind of an attitude or throwing tantrums at work or feeling that they're put upon or a certain part of work is beneath them. It's just it's hard for me to fathom.
Yeah.
To be fortunate enough to actually work in our business is such a blessing, and to gripe about it just makes no sense to me.
God bless you. You're right. And people like that, I'd put in a capsule and drop it in the Pacific.
No gripes here. We're going to take a quick break. Back with another segment here. Miguel Ferrar is with us. Nancy and Larry Mannettis, the PM Show Weekend Edition on CRN.
Miguel Ferrar, the great actor. This is Larry Mannetti. And folks,